Let me check and make sure that we're live. Okay, I think we got something coming. Let's just check. It's showing that we got a few seconds. Okay, there we go. We are live. All right, so welcome in, guys. Jerry Henry, Senior, nichepreneurs.com. And as I was saying when I thought the stream was live, is that I don't know if I'm more of an efficient type person to where I would prefer to do things once and utilize it in multiple locations. And what I mean by that, I want to be able to actually have, I guess, I don't know, it's not lazy, it's just efficient, right? Just being efficient with your time. So if I was in a position where I can just do one stream and take the audio from the stream, because I have, let me show you over here, since I can do this now, I think it's on number 2. I have this little guy right here, this Rodecaster Pro, and that's probably going to be the best angle I can get from a camera standpoint, because I've been jacking around with how I was going to be able to show it. But anyway, I have this here. And as you can see, this has 4 microphone inputs. I only have one that is active now. You can see the little lights jumping up and down here, left and right channel over here. But 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on mic 2. Now, if you look right here, you see this big old REC button. That means I can record. So while I'm doing a YouTube video, okay, talking about whatever subject matter I want to talk about, I can actually push this record button, and it's got a built-in SD card slot where I can put in a little micro, mini, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a micro SD that you put into, see if I can find it here. I guess it's not important. You kind of got a glimpse of what I'm talking about, or at least a feel for what I'm trying to say. So if I could have the recording going at the same time that I'm doing the video, guess what? I kill a YouTube bird with one stone, and I kill a podcast bird with another stone. So all I've got to do is take the SD out of the Rodecaster Pro, put it in my computer, do my editing on it, make sure the audio is the way it needs to be, and boom, my mission's accomplished. All I've got to do now is take the audio and upload it to my podcasting website, and it start doing what it needs to do. So that's what I mean by being able to kill 2 birds with one stone and being able to work as efficiently as you possibly can. And I think I'm down with that. I know sometimes there are situations where you can't necessarily do a podcast if you're doing a review. Say, for example, if I'm doing a review of this microphone, this Shure SM7B, if I'm doing a review of this microphone, well, the people on the podcast can't get any value from that because they can't see what I'm doing. You follow what I'm saying? Those types of things make sense to where I would just use a YouTube live or YouTube upload for something like doing a product review. Okay. So I'm good with that. If I have to do a podcast in addition to the YouTube video, I'm good. I'm good with that. That makes sense. Because if you stop and you think and you ask the question, say the main thing is that you want it to be relevant to your audience. And if your audience is not getting any value out of what it is you're sharing with them, then that's a reason why you don't want to do something like that. You always want to engage your audience, engage those who are following you. And then let me say this. One thing you need to understand is that we all had to start at zero. You know, you didn't have an audience overnight. An audience is built. And I think a lot of us don't want to go through the grind of building the audience. You know, I think if you bring content that is relevant to them, you speak into their lives to where it's making a difference or give them things to think about, or it presses them, or it challenges them in some form or another, then they're going to be more willing to keep up with you than not keep up with you. But if it's always a sales pitch about this and that and this and that, then they're not going to want to keep up with you, man, because you're always trying to get somebody out of their pocket. So take in consideration what it is that you're attempting to do. Okay. Say, for example, in my case, I'm multifaceted from the standpoint of business. Okay. From affiliate marketing to home-based business to network marketing to product reviews, technology, from photography, videography, from ministry perspectives. It's so many angles, personal growth and development, so many angles that I finance, so many things that you can do and you can consider and you can talk about to help people. It's just amazing that you have so much that you can cover. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there should never be a situation where you have, or you don't have, things that you can consider to communicate about life, health, and it's specifically, like I said, especially for the young people. And I say young people because I have children that are in their 20s and 30s. I know I look, I'm like 35, you know what I'm saying? I feel you, know what I'm saying? It's all good. Don't hate. But I have children in their 30s, and I know some things that I've taught my children, and not only my children, but I've taught other people's children about things that they can do at a young age to position themselves, to better themselves so that they won't get caught up in some of the same things a lot of us old hands got caught up in. And it's primarily because, I don't know, maybe I think the majority of it was we just were never taught certain things, and you never had the example of how certain things are supposed to go. So it went without saying that you only mimic what you saw. You know, if your grandparents and your parents lived a certain way, well, you tend to follow the way they went. You tend to do the things that you saw them do until you get a different picture. You fail to repeat the same process that they repeated, that they got passed down. You talk generational stuff. You know, some people call it generational curses. To some degree it is, and it's just tradition. The traditions of men made the word of God of none effect. And I know that scripture may be taken out of context a little bit, but it applies in this situation, that the traditions of men sometimes make what God is trying to say to us of none effect, because we're so locked into the norm and the way things have always been. And we're not willing to take the steps to break outside of that mold, to break the back of that tradition, to do something different, to be a renegade, right? To be somebody that is an outsider, that's willing to go a different path. Not saying rebelling. I guess to a certain degree it is rebelling. You're rebelling against tradition that brought no value, long-term value, futuristic value into your life. So those are the things that I look at and I think about, and I want to be able to help others, do better in their lives, from the standpoint of just realizing that you only you can make that difference. Only you can make that change. Only you can give your children something different to look at. Only you can do that. Okay. And that's what I had to do, because my children, I'm not going to say they bucked, but it was different. When we started saying this, when we had this big plan of, paying all of our debts and coming out of debt, we were serious about doing it. We came across this guy by the name of, actually I was doing, that it was a different, there's two different, I think it was I'll get it out in a minute. It was a software called Money. And I started kind of playing around with that software, just trying to, get a handle on our finances. I really didn't know what I was doing. Didn't have a plan, didn't have a scheme, didn't have nothing. It was just like, I was always the type that liked software, that's like, to play around with, technology and what have you. Like to see how things work and this, that, and the other. So I did that for a while. Okay. And I could never get any traction with that software. It was good to look at and play with. And, you like charts and numbers and graphs and all that kind of stuff. And you can see things, where they going. But it was always the way I approached it was after the fact. It wasn't pre-planning. It wasn't like I was budgeting certain amounts of money for certain things so that when those things came up, I already had the money for it. Like allocation, financial allocation, where these things were set aside. They're earmarked in the word of the government. They're earmarked for certain things. See, I wasn't doing that. It was just like, okay, spend all this and let me go and find out what I spent and then put it into the software so I can kind of keep track of what's happened. It's being reactionary. It's being reactionary. That's right. Rather than proactive. So that was the first software that I ran across. The second one was this software called YNAB, or You Need a Budget. That's what it stood for. Acronym for You Need a Budget. So I got that one, and I started listening to the rules behind the software. There was 4 rules behind the software. Every dollar needed a job, plan for emergencies, save for a rainy day, roll with the punches. I think it was something along that line. I might have got all 4 of them, but it was something along that line. So it's starting to get me in the habit of, pre-planning or taking a proactive approach to the finances. And while I was doing that, I ran across this guy. For whatever reason, fate just brought all these things together at the right time. Ran across this guy by the name of Dave Ramsey. I had never really heard of him, but when I started reading up on him, I heard about him having a little book called Total Money Makeover. So I went to the library in Diboll and I rented the book. That's what they call it. Yeah, rented the book. And I read that book and I read it pretty quick, and it had some stories in it and talked about some things, and boom, I was like, oh, wow. And it started, simple stuff that just makes so much sense. It's like, man, it's so simple. We miss it. We complicate our lives. We complicate our finances because we try to make it so complicated. So I read this book and I was like, wow. And then he had a 7-step plan, 7 steps. And I'm kind of a orderly type person. I can follow steps because that's my nature. I'm by nature an organized person where you do things orderly. And when I saw that fit into my personality, an orderly type person, I'd like to be able to follow step-by-step process. When you start throwing different things, that's not a formula. Show me the formula of how to get to this. Don't just tell me that I'm here. Say, hey, look at me. No, show me the formula of how you got to that place. Because I believe everything, and the more I sit here and think about it, everything has a formula to how you get to a certain place. It's not rocket science. You just follow a system, and the system will duplicate. It's duplicatable. It'll work every time for any person that chooses to work it. And anyway, I came across him, read his book, liked the book, and he had some kind of course called Financial Peace that I ended up going on eBay, and I bought a course from someone who obviously went through the program. I got the videos in, and I started watching the videos. And when I start coupling what I heard in the book or read in the book versus what I heard on the videos, it just clicked. I said, you know what? Not only do we need this, but people at our church need this same information. That's a ministry service to help the people, the constituents, the body of Christ. So what did I do? I said, man, I need to introduce this to the leader, show him what it'll do. And let's just plan to, if you're willing, We can plan to hold a class, get people to sign up, show them the promotional videos, and we can go from there. And somehow, some way, you know, we end up doing that. And long story short, did the class. We all started in 2009, 2010. Yeah, somewhere along there. And 18 months later, we had paid off $38,000 by following the Dave Ramsey plan, in addition to utilizing the You Need a Budget software. All of those plans came together. All those plans basically were saying the same thing, but just a different way. So needless to say, here we are, because we were willing to break tradition. We were willing to step outside of what other people were doing. Excuse me. Even if your children don't understand and didn't understand what you were trying to do, now they appreciate what you did to help them, to show them a different path, to show them that, hey, man, if my mom and dad can pay off $38,000 in 18 months, then, and they started to live a life that they wasn't stressed over money. They wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. They had a few dollars in the bank for emergency situations, you know, refrigerator go out, air conditioner go out, freezer go out, you know, transmission break, you know, all those kinds of things are part of life. But a lot of times we wasn't necessarily prepared to be able to handle it. We went down to, and I did it on many occasions, went down to the little place on the corner to get a little loan, payday loan things, you know, $100 here, $200 there, credit card here, credit card there, you know, using those people for my emergencies versus planning. Goes back to that planning thing, planning for situations to pop up in my life that I would have the financial wherewithal to be able to address those things that we needed to address. And it got better for us. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. Was it hard? Not for me. I got to be honest. It was, you know, and I say a reason it wasn't hard for me, because if you can show me where I'm going, I'm easy. Seriously. It was so much leverage for me to sacrifice now because I knew where I would be. And I already had it laid out. I had the time frame already laid out. Matter of fact, we got through earlier, because it should have been in, I can't remember what year it was, 2010, should have been in 2011 when we finished, but we got finished in 2010. I believe it was. So, you know, that snowball built up so fast, and then you start seeing somehow, some way, when you set your mind to do stuff and you got things written down, all of a sudden you start seeing that coming to pass, because you have a plan of action that you're trying to accomplish. And that's the way it worked for us. And it can work for anybody who has a desire to want to see change in their lives and in their family's life. So I didn't mean to go on and ramble on and on, but I wanted to do this, and it just kind of led into the things that I always deal with. I always deal with things. This is just who I am. And if you like what you heard and you want to continue to follow us, do what all the other YouTubers tell you to do, right? Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, so that when we do upload another video, which we will be really soon, you'll be notified for when they drop. All right. I appreciate you guys for taking a few minutes to listen in to me go forth. Even when I was attempting to trial out a piece of software, or trial out a piece of equipment, or trial out a microphone or whatever, or to attempt to do a live video on YouTube, checking out all of the things that I've got going on. I appreciate you for being able to hang around for what, it's been 19 minutes now. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And may God bless and keep you and your family as you guys prepare for the upcoming holiday, which is Christmas. And let me say this, you don't know me from Adam, right? But I'll say this because I care for you just like I would appreciate if people care for me and told me things that I may not want to hear, but it's always good for me. Stay safe. Listen to the experts who are out there trying to do the best that they can to protect lives. I know that there's differences of opinion about how all of this is coming down and going down, But if you look at over 250, 60,000 lives that are gone, there is something that is doing something to somebody everywhere. So don't be the type of person, well, I can't tell you what to be and how to be. I just say for me, I'm going to do what I can to keep my family safe. And I pray you do the same. Whatever that entails, whatever you feel you need to do, I'm not here to run your life. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you, I would prefer to see everybody around to live a long, prosperous, and happy life if we would just do the things we know are best or in the best interest of our families. All right. So guys, take care of yourself. Look forward to seeing you real soon in the next video. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we have new videos that we'll be dropping.